Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of StoryTalkies by We-Storytellers. It's the era of customers. Customer is the king, they say. But customer conversations have changed, and they've changed for good. We all are observing it all around us. The backbone of every business being customers, everything being a product design or a service that is being designed is being considered based on the specific and the unique needs and requirements of the customers. Let's go back to 1991 when the new economic policy, wherein globalization, liberalization, and privatization came into picture. A lot started changing. Initially, the traditional businesses had a monopoly, but later the customers started getting center stage. In 2000, when new players, the domestic players started coming into the picture, that time they started considering what the local needs are. What are the real requirements of the customers on ground? When the startup era came, especially from 2010 onwards, the sea change started happening because it was not only understanding the needs, but actually involving customers in the conversations on designing the products and services, especially technology solutions. And things started getting challenging even because it is not easy to make the customers happy. Here in 2023, we are having so many tools and so many specific softwares wherein we are interacting with customers, be it the customer contact centers, the chatbots, everything is happening around technology and automation. Now, today we are going to talk about this subject on how the evolving customers are needed to be engaged and how best we can get their thought or their real feeling or the real emotions out in the market so that we can design products and services around those specific solutions, right? So we have with us Mr. Srini Rengarajan, who has been working in this domain since quite some time. He is the Vice President, Business Development and Technology Solutions for M Result. And he has been interacting with customers across the world, especially in the US, Europe, UAE, and India. Right from 1997, as he started as a software developer, till now, when he's leading a business unit, he has seen the customer interactions change. So let's ask him how this entire evolution has happened and how does he look at it. Welcome, Mr. Srinivasan Rengarajan.
Hey, thanks, Jivak. And it's a quite fascinating topic as well.
So let's begin with this question. How do you see this journey? How has the customer evolved?
Right. Now, just taking a rewind for maybe 2 decades back, right? The fundamental operations of customers were totally different. Customers, when we call customers, they are businesses running enterprises, providing services to the industry, right? Now, when we really look at the requirements these business entities used to really have, mind it, I'm still not using the word technology out here because predominantly organizations were business focused and focusing around their key objective or the core objective of their operations. Businesses, when they defined solutions or when they required solutions, the initial requirement was always focusing around how business can be optimized, how they can improvise their business, maybe improvise their process, go to the market faster, and evolve their business. Again, the challenge was always against their competition. But with the invent of technology, maybe 20, 30 years back, technology became or started becoming a core back end to a lot of these enterprises. Systems started coming in, a lot of automation started happening. Orders used to be taken in manual, in paper and pen, and the forms became digitalized. Now there are proactive orders, there is like an auto refill order, for example. So technology has really became rather has become a background or backend, and it has evolved these businesses into a complete paradigm. Now, with that said, these customers or the businesses who used to really seek out for solutions maybe 2.5 decades back, focusing from business optimization need, they have also matured, and some of them have actually become inventor of technology solutions as well, right? Because while these technology solutions cater to businesses who can beat them when they are the guys who really know the business, how it works, right? Of course, when if you talk about a doctor and you're coming out with a solution for a doctor, of course, the doctor knows the medical history or the medical dynamics in and out, as compared to an IT technologist who would want to understand the problem and then come out with a solution, right? So the domain always plays a bigger role, and that's the leading advantage businesses always have. But there is also a flip side to that. Now, businesses have to also focus on their core functions. They cannot become an IT organization or start providing, IT solutions to the industry, right? So just imagine like Ralph Lauren stops everything and becomes like a retail software provider, right? Then who are going to be making classy shirts, for example, right? So there has to be a balance that they strike, and over a period of time, these organizations have really evolved with having their own IT departments. And with this IT departments, the whole challenge has already started coming up, which a lot of us face in the industry, right? Should I go for a solution internally? When should I go for a solution externally? Or why should I go for a solution externally? And why should I go for a solution internally, right? And the way we have defined solutions have also changed, maybe about a decade and a half back. These so-called solutions were essential for organizations, or right now the way we really look at is that these are supplementary to the organizations, right? Now, the evolution of solutions have also changed because of the maturity of the industry, the maturity of the technology, right? So that's the era that we are living right now, where the businesses or the customers are well informed. Just imagine, when you have to buy something maybe 10 years back to how you buy something now. You take an informed decision. You maybe surf the net. You find out details about the product, and then you pretty much have decided the product that you would want to buy. As compared to maybe if you look at a generation earlier where there was a need for a product, you would go to the market, go to shops, get information about the product, maybe do a comparison online, or many a times you just go by the judgment of the salesperson. The salesperson would just tell you, hey, you know what, Srini, this is the best product that is available in the market, and this will take care of you for the next 10 years. And you just go and kind of buy it, right? That's a similar thing that has also happened in the IT industry. 10-15 years back, all the IT service providers were considered as a more go-to organizations, where they would come up with a more comprehensive solution. But as the maturity of the customers have really gone up, it has become more of a collaboration rather than a one-way selling.
Brilliant. Yes, we agree that the collaborative part has come up. And so, everybody's participating into it. All the customers, they want to participate. They want to give an opinion. They want to give reviews based on what they have read or they've heard from someone. And let's conclude that they've gained extensive knowledge, but is it really that core knowledge that they have received or achieved? Because I will call it a term, heightened awareness. Is it really the true awareness that they have? So I want to ask you, is it a myth or a reality that Okay, we know that they are aware of everything now, but isn't it a heightened awareness and not really the core? Is the right
Well,
information reaching them?
right. So there are always two sides to this coin, right? Now, when you look at it from a customer standpoint, as we spoke earlier, right? Every customer would want to take a more informed decision. And sometimes this information gathering or the self analysis or the self study that a lot of customers do to take this informed decisions can go north or can go south as well, right? Now, who are these people who have really attained a level of consciousness where they realize that, hey, you know what? These are the limitations that we have, and these are the boundaries within which we operate. So it's good to have that intent or the knowledge or that information to be available, which can assist in taking the right decision rather than just following the lead of a service provider or lead of a solution provider blindly, and then realizing, hey, you know what, maybe 6 months, 1 year down the line, saying, hey, you know what, we should have done a bit more of a study. So to kind of answer that question as a summary, rather than evaluating 10 and trying to understand which of these 10 suits me or get lost between the 10, customers are now matured to at least narrow to a two or a three solution combination where they can take a more informed decision. The
Yeah,
cycle
sorry.
time has also reduced in this, rather than evaluating maybe 10 vendors or 10 solutions to narrowing down because the requirements are clear, the needs are clear, and to some extent they are also aware as to which solution would fit them best.
So do you want to say that you want to put the responsibility towards the companies or the businesses to, provide convenient access to specific and relevant information to the customers? Is that so?
No, there is again, it's an open market out there, right? Now, the challenge is, from a group of 10, how do you narrow and become the three which a customer would have a spotlight on, right? Now, that can really be achieved in multiple ways, or even specifically to look at how your solutions that you take to the market have matured. And at the same time, are they generalized solution? If yes, then you become part of the 10. But what is a specialized or a focused solution? No point building a solution which is going to take care of hundreds of things, but what is that solution that you offer to customers which is going to solve one problem? Now, maybe 10 customers don't have problem. At the same time, maybe there are 20 customers who have that problem which your solution is fixing. So rather than having a generalized solution, a focused solution which will solve a point in time problem or a point in time business or make a business impact for the customers, that is when you come into the you reduce the rest 7 and then fall in the 3, or even become the only one who would be selected by the customers as well. So the specialization or the focus of your solutions is the key right now. No longer customers want frameworks or generalized solutions which can be customized, but how can it be implemented faster? And how quickly can it solve that problem? What is the time that it takes to solve that problem, right? The total cost of ownership versus the ROI of the solutions as well. So that's the changing paradigm right now.
And with the changing paradigm, the focus comes on conversations or interactions with the customers. So how, what are the new tools, or how should companies effectively have these conversations? Because the communication is actually, as you rightly said, it is going north or south, and it can lead to any direction, majorly negative because of the negative marketing that happens. So what are the tools to, converse with the customers better?
Right. Now, this is again a very a generalized scenario right now, right? There is no one solution which would, or one answer that I can give at this point in time, but there are different techniques that organizations really need to employ, right? And while when we say that customers are becoming more self-aware, they are doing their side of the research to really come out or understand what are the solutions out there, who are the providers, it's very important that the providers or IT organizations are in that visible radar of the customers. So social media, I feel, social media or even professional medias like LinkedIn or platforms like LinkedIn play a very important role, because a lot of time customers need not browse or understand certain things from LinkedIn and make a purchase, but that is really going to make a high level of influence to the customers, right? Now, of course, organizations have their website, how there is a right amount of articulation done on the website, so that when somebody navigates to your website, how can they quickly identify and not really get lost in your website? That's one platform. The other platform, as I was mentioning, is the entire professional social media networks like LinkedIn, where you can really participate and give that focused or that precise messages out there to the customer ecosystem, right? Again, organizations like the current organization where we work or where I work, we have very focused solutions that we really provide to our customers, and we make it well aware to the ecosystem about what are these solutions, what are the benefits, what are the pros and cons. And at the same time, you need to also offer flexibility while reaching out to this larger base, because it's not a targeted audience. When I say a targeted audience to a particular individual, but it's always a group of individuals that you're catering. And what is the level of flexibility in these solutions, so that the customers get more comfortable with respect to coming out and having that conversation with you and trying to really understand more about the solution, right? It really takes me back to maybe 25 30 years back when I was in my college, right? So our professor used to always say, communication is like a mini skirt, if you really say, right? The shorter it is to pertain interest, and the longer enough to keep the conversation going on, right? So if you really look at it, how are you messaging the solution, right? Is it solving the problem? And how quickly and how comprehensive the solution is.
Interesting. So, you have been interacting with customers, not directly but indirectly, and even in a B2B setup. You really have to go in the minds of the end user to understand how feasible the solution will be. Can you cite an example or a use case wherein you might have really thought of, okay, this is what the customer must be thinking, these are the group of customers or set of customers, or this is the kind of thing that can be designed as a solution?
Sure. So in fact, I can just give you one of the recent examples from a very recent conversation with a prospect or a customer, right? Now, the way we or the organizations or the IT organizations look at solutions is, right, when we define a solution, it is with considering certain assumptions that go in, right? And when you really go and talk to a real customer who's running a business portfolio, you realize that, hey, you know what, maybe my solution is not there. These are certain things which are the nitty gritty to the businesses, which I have not really considered, right? So one solution cannot be so comprehensive that it really fits the bill. If that there can be a solution, then you become like a paradigm changer or become like an industry changer, right? So the moment we define these solution, it's very important how you're able to converse or explain it to the customer. So going back to one of my recent solutions or the conversation, there was a customer who had a very specific requirement for a solution. and we had a solution in that space, or which would have a similarity not to the domain or the industry of the customer, but in a parallel industry. Say, for example, the customer was in a pharma industry. We had a solution or an example of the solution which was solving an exact problem in another industry like education. But it is how you converse with the customer and explain that, hey, you know what, there is no exact solution or the ready solution available for your use case, but we have a similar example that we have worked in another industry, which, underlying the problem or the business statement is same, but how the solution can cater to that industry, and with a little bit of refinement to the solution, it can cater to your use case in your industry as well. So not telling them, hey, you know what, we have something ready and it's going to solve your problem, but be more honest with the customer, saying, hey, you know what, we don't really have an exact solution, but we have a solution which works, and can be adapted to your industry or to your business scenario.
Completely agreed, Srinivasan. But then there's another question. You have built the trust. The first step is done. The problem today, or rather the challenge which I am observing and facing as well, is how to build prolonged trust, because so many options and variations and competition is there in the market. So you may build the trust, you may get the customer in, you may build the solution, design it, but the customer is not ready to wait today, to even implement it. They just the first impression and they are like, okay, no, it's not working. Or even if one mistake happens, they just fault find and they want to just let go. How do we build this prolonged trust in such a scenario?
Right. So, while that initial trust that you built with respect to, hey, you know what, these are the solutions and how it could fit, and the customer is really, gango about it in the beginning, but then, as you said, they start losing interest. It's how do you entertain them or keep that collaboration motive going on, right? Now, if a customer has reached a scenario where he has trust in your solution, then of course the confidence that your solution is something different to the conversation that he's been having with maybe your competitors or maybe with other solution providers in the market. This is the first tick mark that you have achieved here. Now, from this point in time, there is going to be no more selling. It is collaborating with the customer and making him comfortable to understand, or make him come to the point where he realizes that, hey, you know what, it's not I was sold something and I'm getting something, but this is something where I have also got my skin in the game. They have a wrapper, they have something that can solve my problem. How can I add value? And they come part into that, right? So the whole co-innovation is what I call it. And innovation is not something that happens once, but innovation is a cycle. And with new technologies coming in, with new problems, with new scenarios coming in, the innovation will always keep going. And how do we really partner with the customer in this innovation is the game to success. For example, if you look at like how we operate, we typically look at, what, we are technology specialists. Our core focus is around technology. We work with emerging technology, we work with traditional technologies. We can solve any problem using technology. And how does the customers play their part? They are the people who come with their domain knowledge. Of course, you cannot at any point in time beat somebody who's running a business from a industry standpoint becoming a technology player, right? So the customers here come in as the business specialists, the providers come in as a technology specialist, right? And then the two of them join hands. Maybe as the wheel goes on, the roles also interchange, because we could get in some business context from another industry that we have worked, which can always, because the use cases, when we try to look at these use cases, right, When there's somebody who's working on a specific use case, you are bounded by the use case. But then when you kind of open the paradigm, you realize that, hey, you know what, you would have worked on a similar solution for another industry. With a little bit of tweaking, it can always be adapted to your customer's current scenario, who's from a totally different industry. So how are you making your solutions or defining your solutions which are not rigid, but at the same time they are more flexible and agile to get adapted across different industries, right? That's also going to be a key. If your focus is just a point in time solution for an industry, for a point in time problem, then you are in the game for a very small time. There will be competitors who come in. Customers would maybe probably just build those solutions internally, and your solutions is not going to be, unless you have really capitalized, or you're the only person in the whole universe who has that solution.
Brilliant. You have really beautifully explained the co-innovation part, which is, I think, very much important and happening in today's world. But I'm intrigued to ask you a very, very peculiar question here. You being a business head, you might have come across that you build a solution, you understand, you even develop a prolonged trust. But after some time, there may be a chance that with cost effectiveness, they may pick up the solution, connect with some other competitor who's who's charging less, and then take your solution to them, even though it is like infringement but not completely infringement. And it may sound unethical, but people are doing this, I'm sure you are aware. So how do you tackle this kind of a scenario? Because customers have become smart enough to just pick up the thread and start with their own ways and means of getting their
Well,
things done.
yeah, but I mean, there are different scenarios that exist in this world, right? Like there are customers who have, when they become part of the game, when they have, when there is a partnership model that is established between a customer and a vendor or a service provider, right? Both of them are party to the game. How the vendor is flexible, how the customers are flexible, right? And the scenario which you mentioned, it's a real life scenario. Customers would always go in. But why did that particular example that you gave about with respect to a cost? It could be a cost, it could be the quality of service, for example. It could be just the interaction or the trust with the vendor has reduced over a point in time. There could be multiple factors. So it's very essential that the kind of enthusiasm a service provider had at the beginning of the conversation when the solution was being showcased to the customer, that same momentum has to continue from the vendor standpoint all throughout the engagement. When I say, if it's a 10-year engagement, so be it. If it's a 15-year relationship, so be it. But the momentum should not go down. Many a times what I have seen in the industry is that there is a new prospect, the prospect is acquired, or the prospect could be a new prospect or another business division within an existing customer. The moment that relationship is built over a period of time, the focus reduces from the vendor standpoint or the solution provider standpoint, right? Which gives an opportunity, as the case could be in any two people in a relationship, right? So it gives that opportunity to the customer to start thinking, hey, you know what, something has gone wrong somewhere. How can I look at other, why, or there's a need for looking at another scenario, right? Or another vendor, for example. So to answer to your question, it's not that a point in time or a one time transaction. It's an ongoing transaction, and what you did on day one has to be continued on day X as well, right? And it has to keep on continuing. And at the same time, when we say, it is co-innovating and co-collaborating with our customers, there is responsibility at both the end. Let's park the customer's responsibility for a moment, because at the end of the day, the providers need customers more. And it's also on the other way around, but then I still feel the dependency to need a customer is more from a provider standpoint, right? Now, how does the provider keep on educating the customer as well regularly, so that the customer need not go outside to search information, or somebody else comes and tells him about something which the existing vendor or the provider has not enlightened, right? So don't be reactive, but be proactive with your customer, and that's when that relationship is going to be healthy. Of course, things may change for business reasons, but this is one of the attributes of a vendor which can keep that prolonged relationship active and that interest going on with the customer.
Correct. You're completely right. And there comes the part of content marketing or content in marketing. How do you view it as an important aspect in attracting, engaging, and nurturing the customer relationships?
Right. So with the whole advent of all these platforms, and of course, over awareness, or overly large awareness profiles of our customers, right? It's very important that it's not a content or a marketing message, or a solution driven message that you give once and ignore the topic, right? These scenarios nowadays, the way industry or the customers are maturing, it's very important that you just don't give a message, but go on iterating the message again and again with different scenarios, right? It's not going to be like a one time ad. It's not like one of those famous like a Coke ad or a Pepsi ad that's always there in your memory, right? But it has to become more of one of those well-being nutrition ads that come out with different scenarios to tell them, hey, you know what, why your solution is good and why your solution is more comprehensive. Because the more pointers they get and the more visibility of your solution, which indirectly coordinates to how frequently are you passing the message or reiterating the message, right? So content is important, but what is in the content, what is the correlation between the first communication of the content to the next communication and to the third and the fourth, right? There has to be a pattern, and it has to tie back to the larger message that you're trying to deliver. There has been a lot of content that you see which starts off with a very nice message, but many a times there is no correlation between the first message and the second message. Or by the time you reach the third message, it's completely diluted. And you know when I reach certain pointers, I forget, where did I start and where have I ended, right? Is it guiding me or is it confusing me, right? So how can you keep on reiterating? Now the message has to be reiterated, and it has to be refined to the changing business scenarios as well, right? It's not something that, hey, you know what, this is the message, I will plan the next 6 months in advance, and schedule messages that keep going, right? It doesn't work that way. It has to be diligently monitored, refined, tuned, so that the audience is not, of course, we have to realize that if somebody is reading a content message that you have shared on any of these platforms, somebody spending 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it's a significant amount of time that somebody has invested. And that's how best can you make out of that time.
So, as we are speaking about content and content in marketing, uh, what, according to you, is the importance of storytelling in the entire conversation with customers?
Well, I mean, it's one of the maybe like a technique that you get engaged with a customer, or with the way we are trying to promote a content, right? It's very important that how do you articulate the message. Stories are good, but again, it really depends how well the story is built. There are, of course, when you really look at something like uh, emerging technologies, right? Or new gen technologies, like say, for example, like the whole era of chat GPTs or open AI that's going on. Of course, now here, a concept like story would not really be the best approach. But when you're really looking at, hey, you know what, there are business scenarios and how there are solutions which can be, adaptable over a point in time, which has a longer longevity, which is proven, tested. That's when I still feel that stories make a lot of difference. And to be really honest, that's overall about more than 90% of the use case that really exists in the industry, where a story can really comprehend the messaging to a customer, rather than the innovative or the emerging technologies. Because in case of the emerging technologies, it becomes more educational rather than storytelling kind of an approach, where we are concluding conclusively as well.
Okay. Coming back to the point that you were mentioning, that we need personalization. The customers need something very specific. And we know that it's a very crowded and a noisy market. So much of overflow of communications happening. The content overflow is what we are experiencing. What specific strategies should one take, to add on personalization? Because it is not going to be easy, the vast market that we are catering to. So what do you think one should take steps?
Yeah. So as the customers are becoming more information aware, they are becoming more aware of what's happening in the solution space or in the industry space. It's at the same time, it's very important that the solution providers are also aware. Now, you cannot add personalization to the message unless you know the person to whom you're sending this message, right? Now, I can't send you a generalized good morning message, and I realize that, hey, you know what, you really had a bad day yesterday, or there is, like, say you live in Mumbai and there's like all water outside your house, and I just send you like, hey Jivak, good morning, how are you doing? And you're really going to be the last person to respond back to me, right? So it's very important that before you really look at personalization, the context of personalization is important. Maybe you don't send a message hurriedly with personalization, but take the time out, understand what's happening with the customer, right? What are they going through? Now, that will give you a lot of insight to really make that personalization active and hit the customer at the right time, rather than becoming just another message or hitting them at just a totally wrong time. So personalization has to come with a lot of information research that goes in. Like, some of the things that we really do is, when we send out communication to prospects or customers, we have a team of sales support engineers, sales support researchers, who are constantly understanding what's happening in the industry, what's happening with a particular organization. And that's when we get these insights to give a more pointed solution, and also realize that, hey, you know what, these are the business scenarios that a customer or a prospect is going on. This is not the right time to send them a communication at all. There is a reorganization happening maybe, or this is a right time to send the solution message, because our solution that exists is the right fit for the customer, for the current scenario right now, right? So it's very important that before thinking about personalization, you really need to have a lot of data points and information pointers handy. As the customers do research, vendors have to do the research on the customers, or else the message is just going to be a generalized message, or even more, it could be a bad message.
Absolutely. So is data science a solution to understand the customer and build conversations around their specific needs?
I mean, data science could be one of a technique that you can use, where you can maybe look at clustering information, segmenting customers with a similar profile. But that is going to be maybe making your life simple by about, say, 70% of the time. But still, that human touch has to come into the play. It cannot be completely automated. While that 70% can reduce the noise and give you more focused opportunity areas, but that 30 to 35% of human element that really goes into understanding in the subset of people that you have targeted, who needs what. Maybe everybody needs the same thing, or maybe there are sub clusters within them where you need to personalize the message. So it's very important that what took maybe 1 month earlier with the advent of data science and algorithms that exist could help you maybe reach that message out in a week. But that still investment or that human element has to go in. Otherwise, it is no longer personalization, right?
Absolutely. So brilliant answer. So we need the human touch, and that's what we are here for. Thank you so much, Srini, for this wonderful conversation. There's a lot to learn from you. Still more, we'll keep conversing even in future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jivak. It was nice conversing with you. And it was a
Thank
nice
you.
topic as well. Thank you very much.
Thanks.